the Honourable Speaker of Parliament, the Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable Cabinet Ministers and Assistant Ministers, Honourable Members of Parliament, fellow Fijians present here today and those connecting on live stream. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm deeply honoured and privileged to stand in this august House and to deliver my maiden speech. Mr. Speaker, sir, I also make a few contributions on His Excellency the President's gracious speech. Mr. Speaker, sir, I join my colleagues in congratulating you on your appointment as a Speaker of this august House, as well as the Deputy Speaker, the Honourable Leno Ranganagara-Tambua. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to personally thank you for your foresight in encouraging me to stand in the 2022 election when we have Angona at your house in Lami. I wish you well in your tenure as the Speaker of this House. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to thank the Honourable Prime Minister for trusting me to become a Member of Parliament under the People's Alliance Party, as well as the important responsibility of being an Assistant Minister in the Prime Minister's office. I also congratulate the Honourable Members on both sides of the House for winning their seats at the December 14 elections. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to thank His Excellency, the President, for his most gracious and well-articulated address. The message in the address was clear and assured us that we must remain united for the sake of our beloved nation. His Excellency's address also clearly outlined the People's Coalition Government mission and vision, key policies and programs, and initiatives of government and its legislative agendas. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to make a few observations on the proceedings of this Honourable House on Monday, especially the antics of the opposition and the vile and revisionist speech of the leader. Mr. Speaker, sir, I commend you for your patience and wisdom in allowing the proceedings despite the toxic and poisonous reply by the leader of opposition to His Excellency the President's address. As a pledging Member of Parliament and still awaiting to give my maiden address, my expectation then was the summoning of the chair of the Sergeant-at-Arms to eject the transgressor of House rules and orders. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition was allowed to carry on and duly proceeded to reveal himself to this Honourable House, to the nation, to the world. The rest, as they say, is history. Mr. Speaker, sir, I saw two heroes emerge from this whole episode. The first is your good self, sir, for allowing Honourable Leader of Opposition to complete his misguided contribution to the current debate. As we learned from the Honourable Leader of Opposition, the other hero emerging was His Excellency the President himself, the Turanga Tui Maduata, Tauke Mboletangana. Mr. Speaker, sir, the paramount chief of the highest class and quality, steadfast and resilient in the face of political pressure and adversity, a national leader who in his final analysis chose to stand for Fiji and the greater good of the country and all Fijians. Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you for your indulgence. Let me tell my story. Mr. Speaker, sir, I joined politics at the request of my chief in my village, Turanga Tuisuva, Sanaila Mundunabosa, and my supporters in the Melanesian communities around Fiji. I was a bit hesitant at first, but then I made up my mind to stand if I have the support of the Vanua. Mr. Speaker, sir, to be honest, my decision to join politics came with some sacrifice for me and my family. However, the thought of my children, grandchildren, and descendants having to bear the consequences of our decisions fueled my zeal to contribute to building a better Fiji for them. Being a novice, a politician, my campaign was not an easy one. I faced an uphill battle to destabilize the juggernaut power and money of the Fiji First government. To change the mindset of our people was difficult. They were used to the Fiji First propaganda, and it was an uphill battle. In a fight, it was a mismatch. It was David against Goliath. This did not dampen my resolve to continue and encourage our people to press on, regardless. I was reminded by the words of the former Fiji rugby coach, Brad Johnston, when asked after Fiji losing the Fiji-England World Cup rugby match, of how he compared Fiji to England. He said it was like comparing Mercedes to roller skates. Mr. Speaker, we were indeed on roller skates. We were outmuscled by the ferocity of the Fiji First campaign tsunami. The money that was poured around by the Fiji First government to buy the votes was unbelievable. Someone called me on Tuesday 13th, December 22, that government vehicles were still delivering pots to ladies groups in the Central Division when the election was held on the next day. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is a fact.
Order.
Mr. Speaker,
Order.
sir,
Order.
even though I am a registered Volunteer from Subo Village, I am also a part of Solomon, my grandmother, Solomon Islander. My father was brought up by the Solomon Islanders at Wailuku when his dad passed away even before he was born. I grew up in Wailuku and attended the St. John's Anglican Primary School. I am currently the manager of St. John's Anglican Primary School and also the president of the St. John's Anglican Primary School All Scholars Association. Mr. Speaker, as mentioned by Honorable Alakimbi yesterday, the Solomon Islanders and Melanesian communities face formidable constraints in their economic and their socio-economic development. I certainly agree with him. Mr. Speaker, sir, with the adoption of the 2013 Constitution, these communities have been totally forgotten. This has led to destitute and increasing poverty with a lack of opportunities for employment. Some houses in these communities do not have proper toilets. This is totally unacceptable. However, Mr. Speaker, I do not agree with Honorable Beer's comments that providing everyone with the same equal rights will benefit the Melanesian communities. This is far from the truth. An equal playing field for everyone has drastically eroded the social as well as economic rights they are previously enjoyed by the Melanesian communities. Mr. Speaker, sir, when I was campaigning around the Nabua area, Melanesians residing in these areas informed me that the system is not serving them any purpose. They said decisions from then government would only reach the Tauke neighbors as they watched from the sidelines, as government assistance mostly targeted Tauke communities. Mr. Speaker, sir, the People's Coalition government will pave the way for the Melanesian community. Gone are the days when our Melanesian communities would watch from the sidelines. To all my Melanesian brothers and sisters, I confidently say to you, this government sees you, this government hears you, and this government is here for you. People's Coalition government is committed to enhancing the social and economic conditions of Melanesian descendants, reintroducing the Ministry of Multi-Ethnic Affairs to be responsible for the development of Melanesian communities as well as other minority communities. Mr. Speaker, sir, the answer to addressing the plight of Melanesians in Fiji is simply to recognize their true identity as Melanesians, the descendants of Solomon Islanders, whether they are from Papua New Guinea or Vanuatu. We have to treat them differently as they are the most poverty-stricken communities in Fiji. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me thank some of my supporters who contributed significantly to my campaign. I would like to thank the people of Wailuku for their unwavering support. I would like to thank the villagers of Koyo, Maraka, Mbali, Wai, and Korlelai. I wish to thank Kevulimbongi, Pota, Alipatekaka, Sanindauni, Aquila Talmbetonga, Chone Mbalikandau, Chone Longombo, Cho Makonia, Simoni Roy, Chone Kiko, and a few others who I have failed to mention. I am so grateful indeed for your support. I also wish to thank the people of Matata Settlement for their trust and belief in me, especially Mr. Chone Penny and Arma Ori, for always supporting me in my campaign and their role in influencing the community. Value. Mr. Speaker, allow me to thank also the other Melanesian communities around Fiji for putting their trust in me and by voting me in the last general election. This included Newtown, Taumbati, Kalakana, Monikoso, Langere, Nebebia, Nangandibatu, Nambunikandamu, Nandawa, Inobalau, and Wailelai. Mr. Speaker, sir, I also raise my hands to be the voice of my people in the greater Lami area. I will make their plight and cries are heard and actions are to address their issues. Mr. Speaker, sir, it would be remiss of me not to mention the person who really influenced my life. He is my dad, Sakiusa Tubuna Sr., who grew up amongst the Solomon Islanders in Wailuku, growing up from a poor family, and over 30 years served as a primary and secondary school teacher. He later served as the director of the Fiji Center at UST. My dad is an avid gardener and at 81 years old, still plants his own cassava. My mom, Caroline Tubuna, who hails from Namoana in Kandavu, served as a nurse for almost 8 years in hospital around Fiji. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm glad that they are in good health and are able to join us at the public gallery this afternoon. There are also two people that I also wish to mention who have an impact on my life. They were my maternal uncle, the late Mr. Solomon Mambewalu, the former minister in the Alliance government, and my late father-in-law, Honorable Milton Leoningila. These were seasoned politicians, and they have influenced my thinking and developed my interest in politics. I'm also indebted to the late Rotsekam Sasamara, who in his foresight initiated the Fijian Affairs Scholarship. This allowed me to pursue a degree in Bachelor of Agriculture Economics at the Australian University of New England in the mid-80s after leaving Ratkondavu School. Government debt is a major issue, and this was an issue that was raised with us when we were campaigning. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the campaign, I shared with those that I visited of how I always admire the caliber of great leaders such as Ratumara and former Prime Minister, Mr. Laiseni Ngarase. From Ratumara's time to Ngarase's time, there was significant developments made in Fiji, namely the Senganga Kin project, the Monasabu, the Fiji Pine Scheme, Suvanadi Highway, amongst others. Most of these projects were loans from international funding systems. Mr. Speaker, sir, from 2006 of the takeover of the Ngarase government, Fiji's external debt rose significantly to 10 billion. Mr. Speaker, sir, what the people are asking, where is this 10 billion? We have not seen any new highway. There's no new major agriculture development project. There's no new hydro facility. Where has all the money gone to? This showed again, Mr. Speaker, sir, the gross incompetence and mismanagement of funds, of public funds by the Fiji First Government. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm so proud to be here this afternoon as the first person from my village in Subabo, the traditional owners of the Suba Peninsula, to be elected Member of Parliament. I am forever grateful to the Turangatui Suba, Mr. Sanaila Mundunabosa, the head of the three abus of Noluwatu, Nebumata, and Batuanga, and the 11 Matangalis for having faith in me. I wish to especially thank my team in the village, Nautuni, Tabal Chebesa, Tabale, and Jonabarra, and now Peresa. I promise you that I will do my best to serve you in the 4 years that I will serve in Parliament. I wish to thank my wife and children, Sainiana, Israeli, and Sakiusa. They have been my tower of strength and have continued to inspire me to reach this far. I also remember my eldest daughter, who was tragically killed in a road accident 3 years ago. Her name is Kara, and she would have been very proud if she was here today. May she rest in peace. I must have acknowledged my campaign team. My campaign team did a tremendous job. My campaign manager, Marli Siata, toiled hard day and night to ensure that we achieved our weekly targets. I would like to thank other members of the team, namely Esita, Iruia, Mereisi Modelutu, Choso Karvaki, Kinsimere, Raimba, Elizabeth Tuidaudau, and Moape Malururu. Mr. Speaker, sir, I must also thank the following communities for their support. Kaubula Kaundamu Road and Delebesi, Mutusa Church Community, Songwa Lubu, Taulunga and Besari, Delebesi, Ngawia, and Langi. Special mention of Mr. Vilame Rauda, Alivio Mboto, and Chochi from Delebesi. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to thank the members of my church, the St. Gabriel Anglican Church at Langen, for their prayers and continuing support. I wish to thank our Padre, Father Pendiasio Maesi, for his spiritual guidance. I wish to also acknowledge my siblings, John, Maram, and Sally, for their financial and moral support. Since forming the People's Coalition government, I have accompanied the Honorable Prime Minister on his tours to some of the rural areas, particularly in Bonolibo. Most of the villages that I visited have not witnessed any development and have not progressed to the standard that is expected. Some still lack reliable water supply. They have no access to electricity and lack basic infrastructure such as community halls. In my view, the living standards of our rural people have fallen to basic level, a legacy of the past 16 years of mismanagement of public funds and unequal distribution of government resources to rural and maritime areas. Even government agencies such as FRA has totally neglected the construction and upgrading of roads in the rural areas. Mr. Speaker, sir, the biggest victim of the 16 years in power of the Fiji First government are the Fijians that are registered in the Bolikambula. They are the third-class citizens of this country. This morning we heard from Honorable Fire Squire about economic performance of the Fiji First government. The Fiji First government in 2016 formulated a 20-year national development plan. Yesterday, I was just looking at some of the targets set by the government. There are two examples that I wish to highlight. Annual average growth rate to target 4.5% from 2016 to 2021. Minus 1.8% was achieved. The government debt, to reduce it to 35%, actual government debt now is more than 85%. These figures again reveal the poor economic management of the Fiji First government. Mr. Speaker, sir, my role as Assistant Minister, I would like to see if there's a greater resource mobilization of environmental funds provided by donor agencies, such as Global Environment Facility and the Green Climate Fund, to specific areas to ensure sustainability. There are a lot of projects in the past which are often disintegrated and not properly coordinated to achieve a positive environmental and economic return. Mr. Speaker, sir, Excellency the President in speech refers to our resilience as a return when we were tested with the advent of global pandemic and natural disasters. Our resilience as a community is based around our village community settings. In my 30 years of working in rural and agricultural development in both Fiji and with the United Nations, I firmly believe that any hope of rejuvenating the economy is to start from the village and local community. We desperately need to enhance the governance of our local village institutions so that they are able to actively plan the community development efforts to ensure better social cohesion. Thus, this will be supplemented by identifying livelihood opportunities for people in the village. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honourable Prime Minister, the Honourable Deputy Prime Ministers, Honourable Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Ministers, Honourable Members of this House, I thank you. Based on these remarks, I commend the motion to the House.